Hi guys, welcome to Average Pundits, your home for all things Premier League. This is now episode 7 we're on. We're still running strong. Unfortunately, this week our co-presenter Reese Williams is currently unavailable. He's sending his best wishes at the time, but never fear, we do have a previous former guest and lifelong Spurs fan from Gloucester, Mr. Dom Hebron. How you doing, Dom?
Yeah, great, mate. Yeah, good to be here.
Awesome. So first things first, if you wouldn't mind, Dom, can you break me through the Premier League?
Yeah, so first game that we'll go through is the 1-0 win Bournemouth over Man United.
Oh, mate, I was just fuming with this result.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too happy with this result myself. Bournemouth, again, though, showing at home that they can come up against the big teams and really take the game to them.
Yeah, no, they genuinely really can. Hurts as well. It seems to be whenever we play Bournemouth, Josh King always makes a bit of an impact. Ex-United player again.
I think he's got to be one of their best players. He is. The guy turns up in big games.
He does turn up in the big games, mate. All in all, we had the possession in that game, but there was not a lot of positives.
No, Bournemouth really did take the game to you. You're looking at relatively the same shots. They have more shots on target. And yeah, they had less possession, but they seemed to play really well under that.
No, they genuinely did. A disappointing result. Another kind of more questions being asked of Ollie, which we'll have to kind of address in recent weeks to come.
Yeah, I guess so.
What do we have next?
Well, you're looking at, after that, you've got a 5-goal thriller, Newcastle West Ham.
3-2, what a win.
Yeah, absolutely. You're looking at that, you're seeing goal scorers Kieran Clark, Fernandez, and John Joe Shelby. Again, Newcastle with 30% possession in that game.
Okay, 30% possession coming through to get the win on that.
West Ham and Newcastle. Away from home as well.
Was it away from home?
It was away from home.
See, West Ham and Newcastle, they're both kind of bogey teams anyway. But it's interesting to see games like this. But 3-2, what a result!
Yeah, late scorers from West Ham, Balbuena and Snodgrass, 73rd and 90th minute.
Oh, fair play. Newcastle was sitting on that win for quite a while.
Right? Yeah. They really early on goal scoring.
Yeah. Interesting little result. What do we have next?
We got the 2-0 win to Liverpool. 2-1 win, sorry, to Liverpool. Aston Villa.
This infuriated.
This game. Oh god, this game was.
It was just annoying, wasn't it?
It just was. You've got goal scorers for Villa. You got Trezeguet in the 21st minute. What a start for Villa!
Yeah. And they were just able to sit back for ages.
They sat back and they seemed to play really well. And then Robertson scored, and they must have just capitulated after that because then it was Mane in the 94th minute.
I just had to double take. I have read this right. Liverpool had 25 shots in that game, registering only 6 on target.
That's poor conversion, isn't it?
That is abysmal.
That's terrible.
For the current, I'd probably say current Premier League favourites. That is not good. That's not good.
But they did have 74% possession in that game.
So a pretty dominant kind of.
They must have dominated. They just couldn't convert.
It was Sadio Mane again coming to the rescue for that winning goal. He is just a world-class player, isn't he?
He's definitely top 3 players in the league.
I'd say so, 100%, mate.
Yeah.
A bit more boring game with Arsenal, wasn't it?
Yeah, 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw with Wolverhampton.
Yeah, again, that's showing that Wolves can take scalps and they can at least get results away from home. Against Arsenal, it's a great result for them. Again,
it's typical Wolverhampton. Again, against the top 6, they always come in, do a job, and they seem to just kind of lose it with the other teams.
Again, you're seeing these stats and you're seeing 25 shots, and yeah, albeit they had 8 on target, but that's showing they really wanted to try and take that game to Arsenal.
I'd say for Wolverhampton. Obviously, they're both Premier League teams, obviously, but with Liverpool, you do expect maybe a few more goals to be knocked in. But 25, 2 games where we had teams with 25 shots in total. One thing I found interesting in that game, though, no Granit Xhaka.
Interesting. I do think that definitely has something to do with the
incident.
The incident, yeah, the armband incident. Just threw the armband at I think it was Aubameyang. I think he did.
I think it was.
And crowd were giving him some stick, started booing him, and he literally just cupped his ears to him. Guy didn't care at all, did he? Really?
It was a strange environment. He released that statement, in which he came out and he addressed why he reacted the way he reacted, which I think was for an Arsenal fan. I thought it would be very interesting to get their take on. You have to look out for the future, maybe.
Yeah, definitely
get an Arsenal fan in the works. Yeah. Sheffield Burnley, Dom.
Sheffield Burnley, yeah, 3-0 to Sheffield. Amazing result for them.
So what a team to have in the Prem this season.
They're such a wild card, aren't they?
They really are.
They seem to have games where they kind of play okay and they play like a championship team. Then you've got games like this where they're really starting to, that's a battering. I mean, Burnley 6 shots, 0 on target.
That's poor, isn't it?
That
for a team who are used to the Premier League for a while now.
They're regulars, and Sheffield just seem to really take the game to them. You got Lundstrom scoring in the 17th and the 43rd, and then Fleck in the 44th. So those are 2 really quickly converted goals.
And again, a clean sheet for Dean Henderson as well.
Yeah, that guy's looking really promising.
I mean, mark my words. I reckon we're looking at an England #1 there.
Oh yeah,
we're looking at an England #1.
Pickford should definitely be worried.
I think if the day came where De Gea did eventually leave United, I think we'd be in safe hands. I can't lie to you.
Absolutely.
Because obviously he is one of our own, thankfully for now. Hopefully he stays that way.
Yeah.
Brighton Norwich.
2-0 Brighton. Trossard and Duffy.
Decent little outing for Brighton though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to like Trossard. He's starting to show that he's got that Premier League quality.
Yeah.
And, it's good to see him scoring in games. And, yeah, I mean, Burnley, look at the stats, 21 shots, 5 on target, to Norwich's 7 shots. Again, none on target.
But for Brighton then, that was the 21, yeah?
Yeah, for Brighton, the 21. Yeah, 21 shots, 5 on target, yeah.
Oh, wow, I mean, but Norwich had none. Norwich didn't even register a shot on target.
Didn't even register a shot on target.
I think, again, Norwich, they've given us some bizarre results.
Yeah. It's.
I think they'll continue to do that.
Yeah, I don't know where to place Norwich because, yeah, they beat City and then they lose to Brighton and they just have some results where they look like they're promising and then they just kind of don't back it up in future results.
Got a question for you though, mate. Are Norwich staying up?
Oh, it's hard to say. I don't see it myself. If you'd have asked me after they beat City, I would have said, yeah, 100%. But after their recent results, it's like, I'm not too sure now.
I can't say it's a bit of a more tougher one to kind of juggle,
absolutely.
Isn't it? Man City, Southampton.
Yeah, 2-1 City. Pretty business as usual for City, I'd say. Aguero in the 70th and then Walker in the 86th. Kyle Walker, don't see him on the score sheet very often.
You don't see Walker on the score sheet often. Again, though, looking at with the shots and the shots on target, 26 shots, only 4 of those on target for City.
Yeah.
Again, we've had this become a bit of a trend this week.
Yeah, it seems to be poor conversion from the big teams. I mean, then you see Southampton, 3 shots, 3 on target. It's it's not a lot, but they're showing 100% efficiency there.
I think with the last podcast, I mean, if you haven't looked at it yet, please go and check it out. We did talk a little bit more in depth about Southampton and the current predicament they find themselves in, and both me and Reese were both kind of in a similar mindset in the fact that we're not maybe the biggest fans of Southampton as a club. We feel like maybe relegation is on the cards for them this season.
Yeah,
but it could be what they need. Maybe they need a little renaissance period.
They do need a period where they just need a little bit of an uplift. They seem to score early on. I mean, you see Ward-Prowse score in the 13th minute, but it didn't seem to do much in way of stopping City. So,
Watford Chelsea.
Yeah, 2-1 Chelsea. Again, Chelsea's showing that they're back to their old ways again. Abraham and Pulisic, the 2 young guns.
Yeah, I mean, Mount, Abraham and Pulisic, definitely the three highlights of the season for Chelsea.
Yeah, absolutely.
You still got Willian who comes in and does a job as well, but I think those 3 this season, again, no stopping them.
Yeah, they're absolutely pulling it apart at the moment. Looking at the stats for that, I mean, Chelsea, the only decent team to show in stats-wise, you've got 16 shots, 10 on target. Starting to look more like it in terms of how you should be playing in games. Yeah,
that's definitely looking more like the kind of thing we expected, especially from a top six level club.
Absolutely.
But all in all, a pretty dominant performance from Chelsea there. I mean, surprising there wasn't more goals, I reckon, in that game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Leicester 2, Crystal Palace 0.
Yeah, Leicester City showing they can and they probably will end up being a top 4 team. I can see it happening.
100% top 4.
Yeah.
That's Soyuncu getting on the score sheet. He is looking brilliant.
He is fantastic. Leicester City have clearly found a more than replacement for Maguire.
Yeah, more than comfortable replacement for him. I think with Maguire, maybe it's a period if we need to give him some bit of time with United to get the kind of foundation built around him.
Yeah.
But with Soyuncu, I mean, what a phenomenal replacement.
He's brilliant, and it shows in that goal. He's a player that can definitely play at Premier League level, and it's good to see him on the score sheet.
100%. And then Jamie Vardy just putting the game to bed in the 88th.
Yeah. Controversial celebration there.
I did see that. I saw the celebration. I mean, if you haven't seen it, he kind of did like the prancing bird celebration in front of the Crystal Palace fans, and they are nicknamed the Eagles. So it was a bit of a tense one. But if anyone was going to be able to pull it off, of course it's Vardy.
Of course it's Vardy. Yeah.
Of course it's Vardy. And now on to the final result of the weekend, arguably the most interesting result. and they are going to be the topic of this week's discussion. It's Everton drawing with Tottenham. It was a 1-1 draw. Tell you what, Dom, it's very coincidental, very good we have you on the podcast for today to co-present. As a Tottenham fan, mate, what was going on in that game?
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it seemed like we were doing okay. I mean, Everton have been a team that we've always had good games against, and not saying that this is a good game because obviously Gomez having that injury, obviously there's nothing good about that.
I mean, let's talking a little bit more in depth about that. I mean, that was awful, wasn't it?
It's horrible. It looking at it initially and watching it in real time, I honestly couldn't say anything to defend Son or Aurier there for that matter because they both go in on him.
It was very difficult to see where the fault was.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think with both of us, we rewatched the challenge like countless times trying to see the angle.
Yeah,
and you can see where his leg breaks. I mean, that's if you are squeamish, I really don't recommend going online and trying to find it. But if you are a bit more kind of like a bit more hard stomached, it is worth a look at.
Absolutely.
But it is terrible. You do hate to see it, especially for a player of Gomez's quality.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, we do wish Andre Gomez a very speedy, very quick kind of return to full fitness.
100%.
And then,
actually, sorry, not to interrupt you, but I have heard that his surgery was successful, and he should be going towards a full recovery.
That is brilliant news to hear. It was Cenk Tosun in the 90+7th minute.
97th minute.
97th minute.
Just this whole extra time thing with VAR just seems to be getting. That's VAR. That's VAR. 97th minute. I mean, no complaints about that because obviously they had to look at the challenge. There's a few controversial points with a couple of handballs I've heard of Dele Alli, which supposedly took about 4 minutes to decide. I mean, that's a big turnover, isn't it? It should be taking a lot shorter of a time than that.
You would hope to see it. With the injury, we did see Heung-min Son go off with a red card.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, he looked in a bad way, and you can obviously see that he was affected by that. He was very shaken up. Needed a lot of consoling after the game, so I've been told.
I heard Seamus Coleman went to the dressing room after the game to go and say to him, everything's okay, and like you didn't mean it.
That's excellent from him to do that.
It's great sportsmanship.
Yeah, especially with someone like Son, who's quite an emotional player anyway, very invested in the club, very invested in football.
I mean, Coleman himself knows what it's like to get injured and work hard to come back from
Absolutely.
it. So it does warm your heart to see it.
But Son's decision was overturned. He has now been released of that ban, that 3-game ban. But it shows. It still shows a poor use of VAR. I mean, VAR should be coming in there. The on-field decision might have seemed correct, but they need to look at that and say, well, as VAR stepping aside and looking at it separately, we can say, well, it wasn't actually Son's challenge. It was solely the point of Andre Gomez, his legs being broken.
Does that mean then that Aurier may be punished?
Aurier may be punished in hindsight because you can see the fact that his leg is bent to an extreme extent from that tackle on Aurier.
Genuinely isn't pretty, is it?
So it's absolutely not. So maybe it's that point that you need to say, well, if anyone's going to be punished for that, it's Aurier.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, that'll be very interesting to see in weeks to come. So that was a little breakdown of the games that occurred over the weekend. Now, as always, we will jump into the hype train in honour of Reece. He isn't here today, but we're still keeping his segment alive and well. Dom, we had a couple of recommendations today. Who do we have?
So first off, we have James Maddison.
James Maddison.
So really promising English player.
We spoke a bit about him on the Leicester podcast. If you haven't listened to it again, give it a little watch. A little listen rather. But James Maddison, yeah. Mate, I think off the bat right now, I can say star player, I think, with confidence in my chest.
Oh, star player, absolutely.
I think he is looking incredible. And I think a lot of the top 6, I think, would be lucky to have him.
He's playing beyond his years, isn't he? He's 22.
Yeah.
And he's playing like someone who's been in the Premier League for 5-6 years.
Oh, without doubt.
He's a massive flash in the pan. He can create something from nothing, and it's surprising not to see him as a regular in the England squad. I mean, he's definitely competing for those places against players like Henderson, Barkley, and that kind of engine room kind of role.
Mate.
And I don't see why he isn't playing currently.
I think he'll be solidified when it comes to the next checks, mate. I think he'll be solidified.
Absolutely.
But I mean, his output for Leicester right now. I mean, Maddison, Tielemans, Chilwell. I mean, these are players just to name a few.
Ndidi as well.
Indeed, again, a great midfielder.
Yeah.
But players to name a few there. I mean, the kind of talent which he has around him. I feel like, lest we forget, James Maddison was acquired from Norwich.
Yeah.
This was a player bought from Norwich who I think people already knew was an English prospect. People already knew that he had a way about him, an aura, potential to become a great English player.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Leicester seemed to just poach him under everyone's noses.
Another amazing stat is that he created 8 chances against Crystal Palace, which is the most of any player in an away game this season.
That is a really good start. Wow.
The kid's magic.
He is magic, honestly. Leicester are in such a position now where they do not need to sell players. They are no longer a selling club.
No, absolutely.
Hence we saw in the summer, we saw the Maguire saga. We saw how much they took United for a ride with that. When we did pay an awful lot of money for him, I was more than happy to see Maguire come through the door. I knew it was going to be a big fee, but it definitely was a long, drawn-out process. And Leicester, they're going to be doing that for everyone now.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of teams who would especially benefit from the likes of Tielemans and Maddison, but it's going to be a hard job to get them out.
It's going to be almost impossible. I think they're really invested in the club, especially a player like Maddison. You can see the passion in his play. He definitely wants to play for Leicester. 100%. He just wants to, try and get into the top 4. Maybe start playing some European football under Brendan Rodgers in Leicester.
It's looking like it could happen, mate.
Absolutely.
So are we into the same impression then that we're putting him in the star player category?
Absolutely. Yeah, totally agree with that.
There we go, guys. There's the first option. And what we got second?
Jordan Pickford.
Okay, this one, I feel like this one's going to be a controversial one. We all have extremely, extremely fond memories of the World Cup. From what we could remember of it when we were sober.
Yeah.
I remember where I was for the semi-finals.
I remember where I was.
I know you do as well.
I'm pretty sure we were in the same place.
I'm pretty sure we were. We sat through the highs, we sat through the lows. Jordan Pickford throughout the campaign building up to that semi-final, he had some really, really great moments.
Absolutely incredible. You look at, I think my peak for him was the penalty save against Colombia.
Yeah.
I believe that was just the peak of his career right there.
Again, you're going to have to, as a goalkeeper, what a feeling that must have been. I don't think, how could you top that?
You can't really. You've got a whole nation backing you. You're in you're against Colombia, a big team, a team that can hurt you. And he turns up and he saves that penalty, and then we go through on penalties, which is something we haven't done.
No.
In my lifetime, I can't remember us doing that. No. So
I feel like I still maintain strongly. I still can't believe to this day that we never made it to the final. But it would have been a tough ride against France if we would have made it there. But definitely, Pickford definitely was a massive part of our success during that.
Huge.
Secured that big money move to Everton for 30 million.
Yeah.
But since then,
he hasn't lived up to his price tag, has he? Really?
I don't reckon he has, mate.
He just seems like. You mentioned Dean Henderson and getting into that England number 1. I can definitely see that happening because Pickford just seems to have gone on a slow curve downwards ever since that World Cup.
That's exactly my point, mate. Looking at the English goalkeepers you've got right now, what was it? It was Pickford, Pope.
Might have been. Was it
Butland? Maybe
I think Butland.
At some point.
Butland or Heaton. I know it was one of those two.
Butland, Heaton. There. Those are just some players to name a few, and then there are some aging UK keepers as well. You've got like Ben Foster, who isn't really going to make the starting place anymore. So I ask you, mate, who else is there apart from Henderson? I reckon he will be that top spot. I reckon Pickford's fallen.
He's promising. He's young, and you think if he can learn off of Pickford, who's had World Cup experience, if you can learn off those players, then you've got a canvas to make arguably, an amazing keeper. And you look at the rest of the England squad, and it's very good. So that goalkeeping position just historically has been quite a weak position for the last probably 5, 6, 7 years.
So. I'm not going to put him in poor. I don't think. I think that would be harsh.
Yeah.
But I think average.
Average is about right, I'd say.
I'd say if it wasn't for that World Cup, though, I'd say in recent performances, and because obviously Everton as a club maybe haven't had the best ride recently, he could find himself slipping down. But I don't know if you agree with me that I think average is the place for him.
Average is the place for him.
Well, there we go, guys. Your 2 suggestions of this week, which will be added to the hype train. You can see all the current players on our Instagram account, on Twitter, and you can watch back and listen back to some of the podcasts we've already recorded. But going into our main topic this week, we are talking about Everton Football Club, the other side of Merseyside. Everton, I say off the bat, are a strange club. They're a strange club. I know a lot of passionate, maybe too passionate Liverpool fans who would have maybe a few choice words to say about this club.
Glad we didn't get them on this one.
Yeah, definitely. I think I know who they are. But genuinely, talking about Everton unbiasedly, thankfully, this season, you're looking at, out of the 11 games we played, you're looking at 6 losses and 3 wins.
Yes, it's not reflective of an upper mid-table team.
It isn't, and that is where, in theory, I place Everton every single season. Yeah. I expect to see Everton finishing 6th, 7th, possibly challenging for higher, because, I mean, Everton spend money. I mean, where people forget that they have money.
They have a lot of money. They're a big club.
They are. They are a big status team. I mean, if we look at, they're in the 1920 transfer window. Not to get too confused, I'm not actually talking about the year 1920.
They were probably a better club back then.
They probably were, mate. But yeah, over the summer you had acquisitions of Alex Iwobi. That was a deadline day signing.
That was a deadline day signing. It was a big deadline day signing. Slightly awkward.
I didn't rate the signing of that.
I just didn't see Alex Iwobi getting there. Going from Arsenal to Everton is a bit of a weird move to make. And it's not like he was getting frozen out of that Arsenal squad. I mean, he was playing. He was doing okay.
Yeah.
So going to Everton, I mean, you can't say it's a good signing for Everton, and you can't say it's a good sale for Arsenal, really.
It was a real kind of minefield. I mean, it was a 27.36 million fee.
That's a big fee for a 23-year-old player. I mean, yeah, okay, that's young and that's promising, but yeah. I'm yet to see the promising side of it.
It's yet to kind of come to fruition. But I tell you what, a signing which did look a little bit better was Moise Kean. Getting in from Juventus. Again, a weird move though. Like, what are Juventus thinking?
It is reflective of Juventus. I mean, you look at Dybala. I mean, they were looking to ship Dybala in that window to either Spurs or United.
Or were they?
But yeah, you can't say that. But Juventus looking to ship their younger players, which seems to be slightly controversial, and it is reflective of Juventus. You see their team, and it is an old squad.
It is an aging squad. I mean, I saw the move, and I could not help but think, does this have something to do with Ronaldo being solidified as the striker there? Because you need substitute players. You need players to come on. But Ronaldo, obviously, he's not human, is he? I mean, he's doing stuff every week which he shouldn't be able to do as a footballer. I mean, he's a phenomenal footballer.
He is a machine.
But, I mean, surely you need someone to fill that void. I mean,
you do. I think he's come in, Ronaldo, and he's had a huge influence on the squad lineup. And I think he does. I think he is the kind of player that will have a bit of a moment if he sees that players are starting to come up, and maybe that is what's happened here. And Moise Kean has moved to Everton for an almost 25 million fee, 24.75 million, and it's a good signing for Everton. It's an amazing signing for Everton.
It is good. I mean, it'll be interesting to see where he kind of develops as a player. I think, again, because Everton, I'm not sure if necessarily it's the club for him to get stuff done. I mean, he's had 10 appearances in the Prem.
Yeah.
And he's had 1 assist. He's had no goals. It's a weird... I mean, you'd expect to see him maybe getting his foot off the ground.
It's a slow start for him. But, maybe that's semi-expected. He's playing at a league which is a lot quicker, a lot more competitive.
He is.
So
he is. I mean, also, lest we forget, he's 19. I feel like every young player now has got what I'm going to coin today. This is the first time you're hearing this terminology, mate. The Mbappe curse. I feel the Mbappe curse, and I feel like what it is that any young promising player who starts banging in the goals, getting the sponsorship deals, looking really good, maybe getting that big money move in, is expected to perform the exact same way as Mbappe.
Yeah, I can see that. I can understand where you're coming from there.
And I feel like, we've said it before, Mbappe, I saw an amazing quote online, amazing tweet, I think it was, and it was the fact they were saying Mbappe is the exception, not the trend. And I feel like Moise Kean at 19 years old was being touted for amazing things at Juventus, and then getting this money to move to the Prem. We're expecting, okay, bang, 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 goals every kind of week.
Yeah, he comes with an expectation, doesn't he?
He does,
and that, I think that's partly why you see a lot of players have a downfall, is because they're brought in. It's a big money move. You see that the transfer does affect them, and you can see the price affect them, and they start to crack under the pressure because they feel that they need to perform every minute of every game, and it's happening here with Moise Kean. So hopefully he can settle into the squad and start really to bang in the goals.
Andre Gomez being permanently signed as well, that's something which happened. He was on loan the season before. I feel like that again. That was a good move. I feel Barcelona just wasn't working out for him.
Yeah.
So, fair play to him to come over to the Prem. Go maybe not for a top 6 team, maybe go for a kind of outside there to kind of fight for his kind of name and his title of a good player.
It's a good move.
But with the recent injury, it will be a long time before we see him back on a pitch.
Absolutely, yeah. It's not a good injury to see, and it's potentially career-ending. But having heard good news that his surgery is successful, that should mean that he's back on the pitch as quickly as possible.
I mean, we hope for it, don't we, mate?
Yeah, absolutely.
We do hope for it.
He's a good player, and he shows quality of a Barcelona standard when he wants to. His passing ability is exceptional.
It is exceptional. He has got amazing passing.
I've seen him come up with some great passes. So it's good to see that he's getting regular football under Everton.
Another player they signed Jean-Philippe Gabamin. I believe that's the right pronunciation.
I mean, I'm not going to be able to correct you because I can't pronounce it myself.
I can say it's a bit of a difficult one, but they got him from Mainz, central defensive midfielder. A fair fee they paid for him as well.
Yeah, 22.5 mil.
But I mean, right now, he's only had two appearances right now for them.
Yeah, I'm yet to see him play, so I can't really judge on his character or how good he is. He seems to be quite versatile. Kind of a defensive midfielder, can also slot into that back four if he has to.
Yeah.
And has been reflective of that at Mainz. He has played there a couple of times, so he's a versatile player, and that's kind of the player that I think Everton need, is a player that can play in multiple positions.
I do. I mean, versatility, I feel like, is something that's just always benefiting of a team, and especially a team like Everton, who maybe don't necessarily have all of those big names, but they have people available to come in and slot in at positions when injuries come about.
Yeah, absolutely right. So now with Andre Gomez injured, it might be time to see him play some more regular football.
You could be right there, mate. Delph. They brought Delph in from Manchester City.
Another kind of...
Bit of like a Y kind of move.
It is a Y kind of move, yeah.
Everton is 100% more Delph's level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this signing originally to City from Villa was a bit of a odd signing.
When that happened, that was just
It was.
Outrage, wasn't it?
It just was, yeah.
It was absolutely. I mean, the Villa fans were not very keen at all. But I mean, recently, obviously for Manchester City, we saw him playing a lot of games towards the end of his City career at left back. And then central midfield, we forget, is still his preferred position.
It is. Again, that versatility is exactly what Everton need. He seems to be able to play on that left-hand side and in the central midfield, shows that he's very good in those positions, and being able to play for City, albeit not regularly.
Yeah.
But moving from such a big side down to Everton might be what he needs.
The whole time he was at City, I mean, I think we all kind of had vibes of he's not there for any reason other than to meet the English quota. And it's sad to say that because, I mean, he was a very good player for Villa, but mate, I can't see anything other than that. Yeah,
you are right. You're absolutely right. It seems like City are just trying to sign in those players just to fill the quota, like you said, and you can see that.
Yeah. I mean, the other two players that Everton brought in was Jonas Losel, who was at Huddersfield before.
Yeah.
They got him in on a free transfer. A good backup keeper to have around, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not out of his years yet. Only 30 years old, which is relatively in your prime for a goalkeeper.
Yeah, it's pretty decent. Still got years ahead of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Djibril Sidibe from Monaco. He's a loan move.
He's a loan move.
He was a loan.
He is a loan. Yeah. I like that. I like that transfer. He's a solid right back, 27 years old.
I know he turned a lot of heads whilst he was at Monaco like a couple of years back. I expected maybe to see him get a big money move, and maybe didn't see him at Everton.
Again, it's those Monaco players, isn't it? It's those Monaco youngsters. I mean,
yeah.
Sidibe is not exactly a youngster at this point, but it's still showing that Monaco have the capacity to produce talent.
I mean, is it the allure of the Premier League, do you reckon, which brings players to maybe possibly smaller clubs?
I think it is. I think, you're looking at signings like, Andre Gomez and Moise Kean coming from Juventus and Barcelona, huge clubs. And it is the appeal of the league, I feel. It's the most competitive league in the world. And, it just seems like it appeals to players to come over here and play in the top flight.
Yeah. Going back to talking a little bit about Everton, I mean, they're currently averaging a shooting accuracy of around 36% in their games.
Yeah.
it's again not the best conversion rate. I mean, what are their attacking options right now? I mean, you've got like Richarlison, Walcott, Iwobi in the works there as well, Moise Kean. You've got players there which definitely can turn heads, definitely can get the goals. It's just they don't really seem to be coming. Cenk Tosun as well, who got the goal against Tottenham.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you haven't seen him for a while, Cenk Tosun. I mean, he seems to. You've got players like Dominic Calvert-Lewin that are starting to come in now, and it seems like Tosun's almost been pushed aside a little bit and brought in the way of Richarlison, Walcott, and Calvert-Lewin, and also Moise Kean.
Yeah. You've got Niasse as well, still poking around.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I think Everton currently are sat on, in my opinion, one of the best talents in the league in Lucas Digne. I think he is exceptional. I think he is a brilliant player. He is
a very good player.
I think, again, a lot of the top six would be lucky to have him as their fullback.
I mean, yeah, Tottenham were looking at him for a while, and I'd happily have him at a left back position. He's very versatile, like you say. He's a left back, but he's also very attacking.
Yeah,
you can see him. A lot of his assists just come from balls into the box, aerial balls into the box, which Richarlison, players like him who are very powerful in the air, just get on the end of.
I'd say arguably right now, I think he's probably the third best in the league. I think Robertson probably is first, isn't he, for now?
Yeah.
Horrible to say, but
leaves a horrible taste in my mouth.
And then you've got probably Chilwell second, maybe. Chilwell or Digne. I think it's maybe a debate.
Chilwell, I like Chilwell. I think Chilwell's a very good player. A lot like Lucas Digne, you can get ahead of a lot of other players and put in those good crosses.
Yeah. So I mean, with Everton as well, I mean, we sort of spoke about some of the kind of the gems they have there. I mean, I like Richarlison. I do like him. I wonder if he can start getting more regular goals. I think a move abroad, I think, is definitely in his sights. I think that is going to happen anyway. Yeah. I can't really see him going to anywhere else in the Premier League, especially not within the top six. Starting his career over, it was Watford, wasn't it?
Watford, yeah.
And Watford under Marco Silva, if I'm not mistaken.
You're absolutely right.
So I mean, interesting to see them linking back up again. Marco Silva as a manager, what's your opinion, mate?
I don't know. He's a very hot and cold manager. He seems to have games where Everton play fantastically, and you saw that last season.
Yeah.
And then they've kind of gone. They're going through this cold period at the moment. They're sat in 17th. They've got in the last 5 games they've had 3 losses. I mean, 2 of those being Brighton and Burnley, teams they definitely shouldn't be losing against.
They're games you think they'd be able to put them to bed.
I mean, I know as a Spurs fan that I can't talk much because we did lose to Brighton as well. But at the same time, it's results that Everton should be looking at and capitalising on. And then that third loss being Man City, which is expected.
Understandable with the kind of calibre Man City have right now.
But you think Everton, with their full potential under Marco Silva, could be the kind of team to make those upsets and to beat Man City. You know, you can see it in their players and on paper. They've got a team which can do it.
That is true, man. They could well be. I mean, right now, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're on 11 points.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
That is one off the relegation.
It's they're in the relegation battle at the moment. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Really cool. And then you see newly promoted club Sheffield currently sat at 6th. Obviously, you still got. It's only been like a third of the league so far. You still got a lot more to go, but. It raises a lot of questions of Everton. I mean, we said last week, are Southampton a team which need this renaissance period? Are Everton the same thing? But then again, though, then I counter-argue with the money they spend because they have the money.
They have the money and they've made the right signings. It just seems like they haven't gelled together.
Yeah,
I think you need to get those players together. You need to train them together, do everything together so they gain that chemistry, and then you can see them play in a way which Marco Silva clearly wants to see them play. So you've got to look at you look at their recent results and it's a lot of reds.
It is a lot of reds.
They're on a -6 goal difference at the moment, which again is a thing that you're not expecting to see with Everton. You're expecting to see them in the pluses, especially with that attacking lineup and the quality they have up top. And their defence is okay, but it's still they should be scoring more goals than they're conceding. Really,
it genuinely is. It's just a bit confusing, isn't it? I mean. One of their biggest assets, which they lost in the summer, was Idrissa Gueye.
Yes.
Going to PSG. That was, I think, maybe not kind of thought about as much as maybe it should have been, because that was a massive loss. He was a great player.
He was an outstanding player.
And just a huge win for for PSG there. I mean, it's a shame. I was hoping one of the Premier League more elite teams rather, would be able to kind of think, okay, maybe we can come knocking for him here. Maybe we can come and try and get ourselves a good player. But it just didn't seem to happen.
It was for only 27 million as well. I feel that's quite a small fee for a player of his potential.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could have easily been more around the 40 mark.
I know, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he is 29, 30 years old, so you are seeing him in his peak years now. But at the same time, he's now gone to Paris.
Yeah,
they have got a huge amount of money, so you'd thought that Everton could at least held out for a higher fee.
You thought it could have happened, mate, but it just hasn't seemed to have kind of hit the kind of top tier. I mean, it wasn't long ago. I mean, we've all kind of seemingly forgotten. It wasn't too long ago they had Romelu Lukaku.
Yeah,
and I feel like he was at Everton for a long time, and then finally secured that big money move to Manchester United for roughly 75 million.
Yeah,
and then they had money then as well. I mean, they had the money from the Lukaku deal.
Must have been where the money for these transfers went then.
I mean, when did Lukaku move to United now? Was it in the 17-18 or 16-17 window?
It might have been the 16-17 window.
I want to lean towards the 16-17. So it's been an awful long time that they've been without him, and I don't really think they ever properly replaced him.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, you need that big physical centre forward in Lukaku, who can beat defenders, and you won't see the same qualities in a player like Moise Kean.
Yeah,
he's more of a speedster that can break that line and score poacher goals.
I mean, then again, in recent times as well, we've seen players like John Stones leaving the club as well. It was in the 16-17 window. That's when John Stones left for 50 million. And then it was the 17-18 window where Lukaku left for roughly 76.
Okay, I knew there was a big money deal there somewhere.
Yeah. And then, I mean, that same window, you had Ross Barkley leaving, Deulofeu was leaving the club then. There was a lot of big kind of losses, which Everton don't really seem to replace. I mean, the players they bought in during that 17-18 window, you're looking at the likes of Cenk Tosun, Walcott, Michael Keane, Sigurdsson. I mean, to replace players like Lukaku and Deulofeu and Barkley, I mean, I feel like maybe they didn't try hard enough.
They've taken one step forward and two steps back. They've sold players which are of good quality and for good value, but you need to bring in maybe not the same amount of players, but at least a player that's as good as, if not better than those players. And if they had that window now, they'd be in a lot of a worse position. I mean, you can see them signing Moise Kean, who, yes, okay, he's a player that has potential, but he doesn't have up-front quality like Lukaku did. So you're starting to see, you need to question those transfers and think, well, who made those decisions?
Obviously, I mean, Everton have been in Liverpool's shadow for forever now. They've still an amazing club, an amazing fan base. They got a really good ground as well, a really good stadium. I prefer it to Anfield. I think it looks a lot nicer.
I think it's a very good stadium and it's got an amazing atmosphere.
Yeah, it's just, I feel like the Everton fans, I think they're very, very loyal.
Yeah,
I think they've been through an awful lot. I think they maybe deserve a little bit more of a positivity around the club, which Absolutely. I think is maybe being long overdue. Any Everton fans listening, we would love to hear your opinions if you can contact us on any social media platforms. One of the other questions I'll probably ask you, mate, with poor performances this season, do you see Marco Silva getting sacked?
I'm not sure. It seems to be the way that I would lean towards, because, like you say, if they need this kind of renaissance and they need a fresh start, it may be the way forward. They get rid of Marco Silva and they bring in a manager who's got a different philosophy and see how they play under that. But it's a hard decision to make.
I can honestly see Southampton's manager stepping down.
Okay.
And possibly waiting out to see if Marco Silva gets sacked and going there. I feel like that would be just such a typical thing to see.
Yeah.
Everton, Southampton, West Ham, these kind of clubs, they kind of all dance through managers. I mean, a lot of them have all had, players like that manager like Sam Allardyce, for example. I mean, he's kind of been everywhere, hasn't he?
He's been around.
But it's interesting to see. I mean, I personally feel like Silva will end up getting sacked as well. I feel sacking culture we may start to see a bit of a change in it. Obviously, you have the extremes. You have Real Madrid, Bayern Munich. I mean, Bayern Munich have just sacked Niko
Kovac.
After 3 losses, they've sacked him for.
Yeah, and I mean they weren't. I mean, I can understand that 5-1 loss, But at the same time, it's like, I know that's a result they should be getting, but I don't think that's deserving of a sacking of a manager.
I mean, he wasn't exactly one of the managerial titans in terms of name.
Absolutely.
I mean, they got him from I think it was Frankfurt, I believe. But he comes in. I mean, with a team like Bayern, it's a bit like Pep, and that you sit back and kind of watch the job kind of get done.
Yeah, you're given a huge amount of money, and you say, here you go, do what you want.
But, I mean, it's definitely the big club mentality. I mean, obviously Real Madrid as well doesn't even need addressing. I mean, their sacking with managers is notorious.
Yeah.
So it would be really interesting to see. I mean, I feel like it's something which clubs come under fire for, not backing the manager. And I feel Everton do have, the Everton fan base do back Silva in large, but I feel frustration may grow. And I feel like maybe January transfers may come in, but I feel like next summer, I feel like a big kind of summer is needed, and they need to address where these goals coming from. They need to have a bit more regularity in the team, a bit more kind of a bit more of a team atmosphere in general. Sometimes Everton come out, it just doesn't seem like they're all together.
Yeah, those players definitely need to gel. I feel like they need a chance through this window, add into their quality, and just give them the rest of the season and a lot of next season to gel and become a real team to contend with.
Yeah. Well, there we go, guys. That is Everton for this week. Again, if you have anything to add on, if you have any comments, if you have any suggestions for the hype train for next week, you can contact us on all of our social media platforms. On Instagram, it's Average Pundits. On Twitter, it's Pundits Average. And then you can give us a like and subscribe on YouTube as well. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you again massively, Don, for stepping in today.
That's no problem. Yeah, absolutely welcome.
And we will be back again next week with Reece at the helm. Thank you very much, guys.